thought telling me what reality is. Reality is not saying it. Thought is saying it. Thought is talking to you. How? By the very act of your understanding, how you conceptualize things, how you put things together. And it's these ideas that create the prison, the cage of what you believe is true, not because it actually is true, but because your mind is telling you, it's reinforcing that idea that you are separate, that you do need this, that this needs to change. But it doesn't, it can't, because the one that wants it to change is change itself. It can never complete itself by itself because it's the very dissatisfaction, the suffering, the need to want to change this moment, however it's appearing in. Notice how this moment right now is simply appearing without effort, without you actually doing anything. We resist it because we think, no, it shouldn't be this way. But again, who is saying that? Really question this voice, because it's coming from you, it's coming from your mind. It's not coming from reality. You see, when you see something, hand, a chair, camera, other, there's labeling, there's a narration going on, understanding, right? Knowledge. And it's not coming from reality. It's not coming from the apparent object, because there really is no object. It's all subject. It's all based on your interpretation. But the fact is that they're simply knowing, they're simply appearing. You're only watching. But this voice, like a radio in the background, it just keeps talking. And we think that we are that voice. We take that voice to be ourselves. It's almost like me thinking that I'm the one saying these words. Perhaps I'm saying them, but I have to interpret that. I have to understand that. And this is the cage. The cage is that the very understanding reinforces itself by validating its own ignorance. It creates its own problems. How can we see that? How can we notice that? By the very fact that you know it. You can notice that you're dissatisfied and you're questioning, why am I dissatisfied? There's something that knows it that is completely untouched by the very fact of being dissatisfied. But the dissatisfaction itself says, no, I'm dissatisfied because of this, because of that person, because of this situation. But that's not actually what's happening. What's happening is that there's something that's not changing that knows that dissatisfaction. It's a contrast. It's the only way you can know it. And the very nature of this knowing is that it doesn't take it personal, that dissatisfaction, because dissatisfaction doesn't actually exist. It's a concept. What exists is a sensation. Then it's the thought that says, this is what it means. And these sensations represent that. Again, it's the voice validating its ignorance. It's building the cage, these notions, these ideas of what you conceptualize to be true. So what needs to happen is first a direct seeing of this mechanism, of this input that is just playing over and over again. Then we need to start to discern between what is the knower and what is the knowing. What appears to be two is actually just one. It's just knowing, right? I can know right now that I'm recording a video. Whatever I think about it, it's just more story. It's just more meaning. It's a layer. It's not there. And this is what I mean when I say there's simply seeing, watching, and a knowing of it. And this knowing, the nature of this knowing, is completely untouched by it. You can't deny it. It's so effortless. It's always been there with you since you were a child. And it's not a thing, because it's the very space in which all of it's appearing in. Like, I can notice that I'm saying these words and making these videos, as you should be noticing that you're watching the video, hearing the voice, and that you're aware of that. You're noticing that. It's almost like eyes behind your head. Not really, but you know what I mean. All of it is appearing effortlessly, but it's the resistance to it that creates the me, the contraction version of you, when you collapse into that perspective of I'm looking behind the eyes, which is understanding. Now, I'm not trying to disregard that somehow something is going to change within your direct experience. Nothing could change from your direct experience. The me expects it because it wants to awaken, it wants to realize, it wants to get something. But that very me is what actually, it's the obstacle for that to happen. You see, awakening is the dissolving of that me where there is no need to change anything. What's always here and what's always validated in your direct experience is that this knowing isn't changing. If you actually look at it, go into what is aware, what knows this moment. Even inquire, who am I? And notice that there is no answer and that the question itself is the answer. The question itself is looking for an answer, but that which is looking is just looking. It just knows, because that knowing is the one asking. But it's conceptualized. I mean, this is all you. It's all you. But here's the recognition that you wake up to what you truly are, not who you think you are, who those notions that there's something wrong, there's something missing, something needs to change. It's the resistance. It's the resistance to what is. It's the resistance to you. Instead of looking at life, which is a mirror, and looking back at yourself and really questioning, who am I? What do I believe is wrong? We put our attention there and we don't turn our attention towards reality and say, okay, what's wrong with reality? What is it that I can change about reality so that I feel better, so that all my problems are fixed, so that I eventually get to where I want to get, so that I can rest now? You're just not looking at yourself, at your true self. You're not looking at others. You're not looking at objects. You're looking at yourselves, because there's a simply knowing of appearances. Reality is not saying anything to you. You're talking to reality. The voice in your head is pretending to be you, and you believe that it is you instead of you actually hearing it. And so the nature of this knowing is that it never changes. It's like the silence where these words are appearing in, or the looking that never comes and goes. It's always there. It's so close. It's so intimate that we cannot believe that that is what we are. But we can see that because if we remove the idea of who you think you are, which is very simple, it's like a memory, just literally forget who you are. That can't be who you are. It just can't. What remains is what you are, but it's not identity based. It needs no identity. This knowing is very akin to the screen of a movie. It allows everything to unfold. It never resists, it never judges, it never criticizes, it doesn't say anything. It allows the movie to unfold. What makes the movie is the narration. It describes what is actually happening. But the screen itself is completely untouched, and because it's not narrating, it can't take anything personal. So why would it resist it? Why would it push it away? The only fact is that the screen is giving life to that movie. This knowing here is giving experience to experience. Or another way to say this is that experiencing is experiencing itself, very much like a player in a video game. It's tasting itself, hearing itself, feeling itself, thinking about itself, imagining itself. It really is beautiful when you come to this recognition, but in order for you to see it, you have to inquire into the nature of this knowing. Really look at it and notice how this knowing is constant. It's you. So who are you? And really ask yourself that and see that only what remains is the silence, is the looking, is the knowing without concepts. Perhaps the greater recognition is going to be that the space and the objects, or you looking at objects, that which is looking through your eyes, is the same thing. It's one thing looking at itself, very much like a mirror. But if you inquire into the space, you see that the space has no boundary. Let's use the example of my hand, and I've used this before. The space has no boundary. So how can we say that there's a separation between the space and the hand? or any other object. That's just an assumption. That's just an interpretation. Really, the labeling is the veil, because without the labels, there would just be the fact of knowing, the fact of appearances arising in this knowing of you. Everything appears in you, even the body. And because the space doesn't have a boundary, then the object doesn't really begin, right? What says that the space adheres and starts over here, or that the hand is here and not over here? You see, it's happening in some kind of space that is intangible, that doesn't have a boundary. Even if you try to find the edge of the hand, that's just an assumption. You're still interpreting. This is what the mind can't handle, the fact that it's just appearing without you actually doing anything. You can't explain why, but the mind wants to put it together and it wants to conceptualize. But that's not even in your direct experience, and it's not even happening other than the voice in your head. Reality is not speaking to you. You're saying everything. You're speaking to reality. You're projecting reality to be what you think it is, or what it should be, or what it shouldn't be. And so this is the recognition that you are reality. There's no boundary. There's no separation. Even a word can't separate you from what you are effortlessly, just by the knowing of appearances. And the first part of it is really just to recognize that there is no problem. There is no problem with this hand. There's no problem with anything in your direct experience. And the only thing saying that is your mind, which is a radio in the background pretending to be you, and you believe it. So the only thing really, if there was anything to do, is why are you believing this voice? Really make the inquiry and ask yourself, who am I really? What am I? And don't expect an answer. Don't want an answer. Recognize that what remains is you. Inquire into not only who you are, but the nature of who you are, the knowing that has been here. That screen that you're watching, that you've been watching the video, has it moved? Has it changed? Has it been affected? Has it said anything? Reality doesn't say anything. It's you. It's your very nature, silence, space, stillness. And in that you find the peace, the freedom that we are all looking for. And we just have to keep looking. That's all we need to do. And stop believing, really.